Hello math learners! In the previous video, you have learned the first few types of angle pairs, which are the complementary angles and the supplementary angles. In this video, you are going to learn the other types of angle pairs. So let's begin. We have here a linear pair. When we say linear pair, it is composed of two adjacent angles whose measures have the sum of 180 degrees. When we say adjacent angles, these are two angles which has a common side and a common vertex. Another is, these are adjacent angles that form a straight line. So, if the two adjacent angles form a straight line, that means that is called linear pair. Example, as you can see in the figure, we are given two angles, angle GKH or angle 1 and angle HKI, which is angle 2. Now, angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. It's because they are adjacent because they have a common side, which is side HK or side KH, and a common vertex, which is vertex K. Now, without identifying the measures, it is obvious that the sum is 180 degrees, since a straight angle was formed, this one. So that means if we are going to add angle 1 and the measure of angle 2, the sum is 180 degrees. And that also means linear pair can be considered supplementary angles. Take note of that. Now, let's have example. Example number 1. Given a linear pair, what is the measure of x? So in this figure, again, we have here two angles. Angle CAB, which has a measure of 58 degrees, and angle BAD, which has a missing measure, and we represent that as x. Now we need to solve for x. To solve for x, we all know that these two angles are a linear pair. So that means their sum is 180 degrees. So if we are going to add 58 degrees plus x, it is equal to 180 degrees. Now, we need to solve for x. To solve for x, we need to transpose 58 to the right side, and it will become negative 58. Let's simplify. 180 degrees minus 58 is 122 degrees. So that means the measure of angle x is 122 degrees. Let's check. To check if the measure is correct, we need to substitute the value of x to this equation. So we can have 58 plus 122 or 122 plus 58 is equal to 180. Let's check. 122 plus 58 is 180. So that means 180 is equal to 180 degrees. That means the value of our x is correct. Now let's proceed to another type of angle pair, which is vertical angles. When we say vertical angles, these are two non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. Vertical angles are congruent. When we say congruent, that means equal. So vertical angles are equal. So look at the figure. Observe it carefully. We are given two intersecting lines here, line KL and line HG. Because of these two intersecting lines, four angles were formed. First angle, which is angle 1, angle 2, and then these two angles here. Now, let's focus first to angle 1 and angle 2. In this figure, angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles since they were formed by two intersecting lines. And since they are vertical angles, they are congruent. They are equal. That means whatever the measure of angle 1, it is also the measure of angle 2. Another pair of vertical angles in this figure is these two angles here. They are also vertical angles because they were formed by these two intersecting lines, and they're also opposite angles. Always remember that vertical angles are opposite angles, and vertical angles are always congruent. Okay, now let's have another example. What are the values of the variables in this figure? As you can see, we are given here two intersecting lines, and because of these two intersecting lines, there were four angles formed, and one of the measures of these angles was already given, which is 46 degrees, and we are asked to find the values of the three missing angles. Now, let's solve first the value of angle x, or the measure of angle x. To solve for x, we will compare it to 46, which is our first angle. As you can see, these two angles here are adjacent angles, and they form a straight line. That means these two angles are a linear pair. So if we are going to add the two angles, the sum is 180 degrees. Now, let's solve for x. 46 degrees will be transposed to the right. It will now become negative 46. Let's simplify. 180 minus 46 is 134. That means the measure of angle x is 134 degrees. Now, to solve for y. As you can see, angle x and angle y are opposite angles. That means they are vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent. So, if x is 134, therefore y is also 134 degrees. Same with angle z and 46 degrees. They are opposite, so that means they are also vertical angles. That means they are congruent. So if this is 46, the value of z, or the measure of angle z, is also 46 degrees. Okay, now let's proceed to more types of angle pairs. And these types of angle pairs were formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. Okay, let's begin. The first angle pair formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal is called corresponding angles. When we say corresponding angles, these are two angles which are one interior and one exterior, having different vertex but on the same side of the transversal. Example. In this figure, before we are going to identify the corresponding angles in this figure, we are going to identify first the basic parts of these parallel lines cut by a transversal. Now, these two lines here are the parallel lines. They are parallel lines because they are lines that do not meet. Now, this line here is called a transversal. Okay, while this part here is called the interior part of the parallel lines. That means these angles 2, 3, 6, and 7 are called interior angles. While angle 1, angle 8, angle 4, and angle 5 are called exterior angles because they are angles found in the exterior part of the transversal, or exterior part of the parallel lines, rather. Okay. Now, aside from these parts, we also have this area here. These are the left side, or This area is the left side of the transversal, while this area is the right side of the transversal. That means angle 1, 2, 3, 4 are on the same side, while angle 8, 7, 6, and 5 are also on the same side, which is in the right side. Now let's identify the corresponding angles in this figure. The first pair of corresponding angles is angle 1 and angle 3. It's because one of these angles is interior, which is angle 3, and the other one is exterior, which is angle 1. And they don't have the same vertex, but they are on the same side of the transversal, which is the left side. Next is angle 2 and angle 4. These are also corresponding angles. Next, angle 8 and angle 6. And the last pair is angle 7 and angle 5. So we have 4 corresponding angles in this figure. Now, let's proceed to another type of angle pair. Alternate interior angles. When we say alternate interior angles, these are 2 interior angles on opposite sides of the transversal having different vertices. So, we have here this figure, again 2 interior angles. So that means we will focus on the interior part of the transversal. Okay, 2 interior angles on opposite side. So one should be on the left side and the other should be on the right side. And they don't have the same vertex. So which means we have the interior angles or the alternate interior angles are angle 2 and angle 6 and angle 3 and angle 7. Next, alternate exterior angles. When we say alternate exterior angles, it is the opposite of the alternate interior angles. So that means these are 2 exterior angles on opposite sides of the transversal having different vertices. So we will focus on the exterior angles. We have here 1 and 8, 4 and 5. So 2 exterior angles on opposite sides. One should be on the left side and the other should be on the right side, and they should have different vertices. So that means the pairs of alternate exterior angles are angle 1 and angle 5 and angle 4 and angle 8. Next, same side interior angles. When we say same side interior angles, these are 2 interior angles on the same side of the transversal. So if the other angle is in the left side, its pair should also be in the left side. If the other angle is in the right side, its pair should also be in the right side. So in this figure, 2 interior angles. So we will focus on the interior angles, which is in the interior part of the parallel lines. We have here the first pair, 2 and 3. They are on the same side. And also the second pair, 7 and 6. By the way, these 2 angles can be interchanged. You can have 7 and 6 or 6 and 7. They are still the same. Now, same side exterior angles. This is the opposite, so that means these are 2 exterior angles on the same side of the transversal. We will focus on the exterior angles 1 and 8, 4 and 5. So same side, we have 1 and 4 and angle 8 and 5. So these are the following angle pairs that were formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. I hope you have learned something from this video. Thank you for watching, my math learners. Always remember, the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics.